Hey, this is Trevor Conquergood. Welcome to this week's R&K Software Club's video for the week. And this week I have with me Matt from the R&K office, Matthew Wilson. How are you doing today, Matt?
I'm doing good. How about you?
I am doing awesome. And I just love to get on the videos with you because it always gives me a chance to say thank you to you on behalf of all the people that tell me how much they appreciate your help when you help them. And I know that many people have been helped that never told me personally about. But anyway, Matt, thanks for being there for everybody and answering our customer support questions. I know that you sometimes get interesting questions, and so it's fun to get together with you now and again to say hi. And yeah, what's going on the support desk, Matt?
First, it's my pleasure to help everybody. But yeah, one of the questions that we get pretty frequently is from people who have stitched out a wedding announcement or a birth announcement, and then they want to reuse that sort of template to do another birth or wedding announcement, and they want to know
Right.
how do you then change the lettering.
Okay, that's a good question. I do that a lot, Matt. I mean, that's to me, that's kind of the benefit of it. I've already done the work. I know it looked good last time. Like all I want to do is update the date, and change the names. It's like a wedding thing, and you've got a nice, maybe there's flowers or whatever. And so that's really a good question. It makes me think that it's sort of a new owner that would ask that because right away my first thought is, do they understand the difference in the Floriani file versus the machine format? Like if you stitch out a format, there's all kinds. It could be PES or JEF or DST or EXP, or there's a lot of them, VP3 and on and on. But Floriani WAF is our format, Matt, and I think that's where we're going to start talking. But then I've got some cool tips on how you can like make custom baselines and kind of save your text so that it's easy to use with your embroidery designs. So let's go ahead and pop over onto the software where I can kind of show you guys about that stuff, Matt. So here's the Floriani program, and basically, we're going to want to start by just making some text, right? So if you click on your text tool and you click on the workspace, it'll put down the words my text. And when I click on that text tool, there are a variety of tools there, Matt. There's your sort of horizontal text and your circular text and your vertical text and your text along a path. This is for doing like 3-letter monograms. These last two are kind of more about making fonts or working with artwork, and so they're not really a text tool as much as this last one here you may not have. Not everybody with Floriani FTCU has that tool. That tool comes from Lettering Master. That's the Make a Font tool. But the first 6 everybody has. If you own the FTCU software, then you certainly have all of those tools. And I just clicked on the first one and then clicked to make, the words my text. And so, you could work that up into a beautiful wedding arrangement. Maybe it says Jack and Diane. And obviously the dates, right? Because of course Jack and Diane got married on Halloween. But the point is, maybe the next time you've made it, you want it to look exactly like this one, but you want to also make it say Bob and Shirley, and that's easy to do provided that you save it as the WAF. And that's what I'm saying, is that we need to understand when we make embroidery, and I could certainly perfect this, right? Like first thing I'm thinking is, well, wouldn't you use a script for a wedding announcement? I probably would. And I could scroll through all these different texts to find just the perfect scripty one. But if I know I'm looking for a script right here where it says all fonts, if I click on that, I can make that say script. And it's like a filter. So now when I click here, I only see fonts that are in a cool kind of script style like that. And so there would be lots here that would look great as a wedding announcement. So you can update your text. And the cool thing is, whatever font you choose, Notice the weird sort of little large spacing. I feel like the lines are too close together, first of all. So I'm just going to update that, make it instead of 25%, let's try 50%, and that'll give it more space between the lines. You could make it 100% or 200%. It's kind of the way that you adjust the distance between the lines. And then the other thing would be a lot of times I do these things kind of visually. Like I'll kind of look at it and go, well, the J and the A seem too far apart to me, so I'll zoom in there. And what I have to do is right click to get the edit text option. Because when you're in edit text, you'll notice that there's little handles for all the letters. And the blue handles will move all of the letters after the handles. So I could like move that in and kind of make that be exactly wherever you want to. And all of this, of course, is going to get saved when I save my Floriani file. So if I go File, Save As, the default is the WAF. And I always make one. I've got a little folder here for today. I'll just call this Jack and Diane and save it. And so now we've got a file that we've made. Now, my machine does not read WAF files, Matt. Then that's the reality, is that I can't simply go to my folder and drag that WAF file onto a USB stick. Probably when I want to stitch it out, I'm going to go File, Save As, and I'm going to save it onto my USB stick, or maybe some people have like a direct connection to their machine, or sometimes people use Wi-Fi, but usually what I do is I save it on a stick. That's my favorite way to do it. And I can pick any stitch format. We have lots of different machine formats available. I'll choose PES for the demonstration. So now I'm going to save it into the same folder and like technically I can close it. So here's the thing, Matt. If you're asking me that question, how do you reuse it? It makes me think you didn't save the WAF, right? Because if I come to the WAF, see how I have both? If I open the WAF, then it's pretty easy to open it up and select it. Just use your select tool to click on the sort of text segment to select it. Here's the properties box, and maybe you want to make, that's not when they're getting married. They're getting married on Christmas. And so you change the date and click apply. And so it's very easy to recycle your designs. Oops. Now I got rid of their names, but when I typed in here, let's just hit undo so you can see what I did. I meant to highlight the word October and type in December, but I think what I did was I highlighted all of the text and made it say December. And so, that was just me, and that was user error. But so the point is, it's very changeable, Matt. You could come in here and change the name or the spacing or the font and change it to a new, wedding gift. But where I think people get kind of messed up is if they don't save the WAF and then they go open and they open the PES, and the first thing they kind of notice is that when they select it, the properties box doesn't have all the stuff that they're looking for, right? And the reality is that it's not really a font with, when you save it to PES, the design is saved as stitches. And so the PES file includes things like XY coordinates that tells the machine, where to move the embroidery hoop and whether it's a needle up or a needle down. And you can, all the stitch formats are simply just that. Very simple, sets of instructions on how to move your machine. And sometimes there's extra bits of information like what color is it going to be, that kind of stuff. But really the machine doesn't understand what font it is or the spacing and all that. And those things are only saved within your WAF file. So you need to, so lesson number 1 today is remember to make, when you make embroidery with Floriani, a WAF. Now, if you don't have a WAF, if you didn't make it in the first place, then it's not that it's not possible to edit it, but you wouldn't have the same editing capabilities. I think that's what changes. So if I close this PES file, and if I click open and I still have the two files, right, the WAF and the PES, and if I select the PES again, I do have the ability to convert to outlines. And when I convert to outlines, the software will read those stitches and it will make shapes from them. And because of that, we would be able to select the text Jack and Diane, October 31st, and make it smaller. And notice up at the top that it's 8,000 stitches. And when it's done kind of working, it's 7,000. So the software has the ability to make edits to the designs that you buy, but it did not create this into text. If you look at the sequence list, there's no letter J or text that says Jack and Diane. There's a series of run stitches, satin stitches, and fill stitches that make up this text. And so that if you made it in the first place, then if you simply want to select the text and make October 31st to be December 25th, then you can easily change that or change the Jack and Diane or the font or any of those things, but you need to reopen your WAV file. So that was lesson number one, Matt, was like learn about the WAV file and the power of it, because notice that when I open the WAV, and now I actually have them both open. So here's the Jack and Diane made smaller where the software, processed new stitches. But here's the original Jack and Diane. I mean, I can make that one smaller too, right? Just select it and make it smaller. And it will also reduce the number of stitches, based on the size. But at that time, the difference here is I still have all the properties boxes. And when I look in my sequence view, I just have a text segment. So I love to teach this. It's one of the things I teach the most. It comes up a lot. It's, do you understand the difference between the WAV file and the PES file? But I thought I'd take it one step further. Okay, so that's kind of like lesson number one. But if you're doing text and you kind of want to make it fit your design, sometimes, and maybe what I'll do is just start a new empty workspace. And I'm going to open a design. In fact, I'm going to go to the library, where all your free monthly designs are. And if you look in March of 2021, there is a design in there that's like a sketch that I did, a farm sketch. And it says farmhouse over the top. So now we have a WAV file. Notice if you look at your sequence view that there's all of the little run stitches that I made to do my sketch. But if you go to the very bottom, there is actually a text segment. Yeah. And in fact, you don't even have to do all that. I'm just pointing it out that it's there. All you have to do is select this. And right away, I can change the word farmhouse to say, for example, Trevor's farmhouse. And I just click apply. And what's unique about this is how the text is going to perfectly stay with the shape of the design. So this is lesson number two, and it's a little bit more advanced for people that maybe, and it may be too much for the person that's just learning. But you'll get there. So if this makes your brain hurt, just let it go. It's not for you. But the point is, I created a custom baseline. So remember at the beginning, Matt, when I clicked on the button and I said there was text along a path was one of the options. And if you create text along a path, when you click to start it, it lets you choose a path. And there's a whole selection of them. And the ones that are red are the ones that come with the software. But notice that I've got a few blue ones. And one says farm sketch and one says lake house. Well, those are ones that I made to go with embroidery designs. And I saved them. So I can reuse them. Here it is, farm sketch. It matches, I made a baseline that matches the shape of my ellipse that I made. And you could do that too for any, and then what happens is when you save the baseline, it'll save with your design so that when you open it up, it's really easy to make edits and change it. So the point here is, and I'll just kind of start from scratch, right? So if you click on the text tool and you click on the text along a path, when you click, it brings up a selection box, and you can select any one that you want. Let's just select one of the ones that it comes with, path 14. But if path 14 doesn't kind of seem to perfectly match your design, then what you have to do is right click on the text and see there's the option to edit the baseline. So now I can see that pink baseline, and I could move this blue point to be wherever I wanted to put it. And same thing with that blue point. And you have to learn a little bit about things like the tangent lines and how to use them. This is, like I said, not kind of beginner learning, but if you do have learned a little bit about how the whole program works, you'll know that each sort of node that makes up this line, I could right click and ask it to smooth them or to turn them into a line, which would make it a corner, and by just smoothing them a bit. And really, I think to get the perfect line, I have to kind of manually move them. But to see how I was able to make like almost that exact kind of matching line, and then you could move it out a little bit, like so. Oh, now that was a fail. Let me right click again, because I forgot to say like an important part. So I have to kind of start over because I didn't edit the baseline. I didn't do the right click. Remember, people often ask me about this. How do you, when you edit the baseline, how do you get the text to update on the baseline, Trevor? And the answer to that is you have to right click over top. Then when my text updates, now I'm done. Now I've edited the baseline. So see how I was able to make that my text kind of match up with this design a bit better. Now, if you make it say Trevor and Matt are awesome and apply, it might be too long for my line, but I could make it smaller and make it fit. It's probably going to try and like see what it did. It got to the end of the line and it just went, well, now what do I do? So it just kind of made like a straight line off of it. But if I made the text, let's say smaller, I bet it fits just perfect right around our little pattern like that. So now you got a farmhouse that says Trevor and Matt are awesome. And so one last tip on this, and that is if you want this to save, to be able to use it again later like I did, then what you need to do, is select that text that you've made your custom baseline on, and then right click to say edit text. When you're in your edit text mode, right click and say export line. I know it doesn't like read, it's kind of more than one step and it's not super easy, but it's not hard to do either. And once you, like I said, this is for people that are kind of have learned a little bit already. When you say export line, it takes you right to the folder where it needs to be. And so we'll call it today. Today, Trevor. Apparently I already have ones to call today. So I'm going to call it today too and save it. And that's it. Now I would have it. It would be, if you ever needed to use it again because this shape you use again, then when you do your text and you go into the option to put text on a path, there'll be one in there called today. In fact, there'll be two of them. One will be called today and one will be called today too. And today too is the one that we just made. So every one that's blue is actually one that I've added to my collection in that way. And so I think that's one of the things that's really amazing about the Floriani software, Matt, is that there are just so many ways that we can kind of modify it and save it, and customize it. And so I hope I didn't take it too far, because that was more than what they asked.
That's helpful for everybody.
Well, thanks, Matt. So I tried to get it in the initial question, which was simply how do you reuse it? But then the extra little bit is kind of for people that want to know how to really customize the text baselines. And so there's lots to learn. I think if you're really just in the basics of text and you visit the RNK Software Club website, there is a great kind of like, I want to say section of the text there. Like, I could probably take you guys there just quickly. RNK, sorry, wrong keyboard. RNK software.club. We do that, Matt. Okay, one more sec. So let me there. That's the RNK website, right? If you're wanting to learn about text and you've got the Total Control software, you just click on Total Control U. You'll want to come to where it says training videos and then scroll down. And there is actually a whole section of them here on lettering and text. So go ahead and click on that. And I assume that today's video will actually get added to this. So every time we do a new video that has text as a subject, it'll probably be the latest one on the list kind of thing. So the newest ones are always kind of on the left. But if you go this way, I remember doing one that was kind of like a 1, 2, 3, right there, text part 1, part 2, part 3. That's a great, there's many great videos and they're all good to watch. I guess that's really the reality of it. But anyway, Matt, did we come back on screen again here? There we go. Thanks for letting me show you guys that. I hope you know how to get around the RNK. I know that we don't have a search button on the RNK Software Club website, and that is kind of high on our wish list. But currently today, you just kind of have to browse through the different training categories and then kind of go by the names of the text of what do you want to learn. So those might be good videos for anybody who's watching today that's like, I would like to know more about how to control the text tool. Go through those. I think they're each probably 15 or 10, maybe even 8 minutes long kind of thing. Anyway, today's video is getting kind of long, Matt. I should probably let you go. Thank you again for being so awesome at helping everyone.
Again, my pleasure. Absolutely. And thank you for the information today.
Okay. See you later, Matt. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.